Welcome to another episode of Losing It with John. My name is John Hoff, and I help people lose weight. And in today's episode number 7, we're going to talk about my weight loss program, what I teach inside of it, back to basics weight loss, and my strategy that I use to help people go from being an overeater to a normal eater and being able to keep that long term. There's a very specific kind of strategy that I implement, and the whole purpose of what I do is I try to keep people as close to their comfort zone as possible, because I think that we can all agree that losing weight is pretty freaking hard, isn't it? When you're just starting out there, and even if you're not just starting out, I mean, like, you might have been doing it for a while and you go on again and off again and on again and off again. And if you're like many of my clients, if you're like I used to be when I was trying to lose the weight, I suffered through that. I would lose weight, I would do good, and then, you know what, it would kind of like stall out, wouldn't work. I'd get frustrated. I'd throw in the towel. This isn't working for me. I can't figure out what's going on. And I'd go back to my old habits and I would just gain the weight back. And I could never seem to get back to where I was when I was like in my early 20s, you know? And I think that oftentimes we think of that, like, that's what I want to get back to. I want to get back to how I was when I was just out of high school. You know, look, I'm almost 50 years old right now. And to be honest, like, that's just not really realistic, right? And some of us have those unrealistic goals, and some of us have more realistic goals, but we're still struggling to get there. And why? A big part of the reason why is we've just been taught the wrong freaking crap on losing weight. All right? And we've just been taught the wrong stuff. We've been trying to lose weight by following what I call a spreadsheet diet. It's when you get all these health professionals that are out there and they look at research on paper. Okay, well, we put these people on this ketogenic diet and we fed them this much, and then they skipped meals and they did this and they did this and they all lost weight. Wonderful. But did we follow through with those people? Did they keep the weight off? Okay, great. They lost the weight, but there's a difference between actually losing the weight and keeping it off. Wouldn't you agree? Keeping it off is like the hardest part in most cases. So I have a strategy that I use to help people lose weight. Now, I used to teach low carb, okay? When I first lost my weight, I got into keto is what I did. Now, I did lose weight in the past, like exercising, trying to eat a little healthier, a little bit of calorie counting, but then it was too hard to keep counting calories, so I'd give up. And that was like all my frustration years. All those years that just a little bit would work, and then it wouldn't work, and a little bit would work, and then it wouldn't work. But it wasn't until I actually started doing low carb and do it consistently that I lost the weight that I was looking to lose. I actually did too good. I actually lost too much weight, to be honest with you. I lost muscle mass, which wasn't really great. I wasn't personally eating enough protein. And so, it's natural that then I would start teaching people how to do a low carb diet, right? I mean, it worked for me, but the problem with that I came across was that even though I was really good at losing weight for, on paper, and to help people, as long as you eat these foods and you avoid these foods, then you're going to lose weight. And the problem was these people did not grow up eating just these foods and never having these other foods. The diet would take away all these comfort foods, fruit, bread, pasta, any kind of sweets that are normal that we normally grew up eating, any kind of donuts, cake. You go to the Cheesecake Factory, no, can't have that cheesecake. I think they have a low carb one there. I highly doubt it's keto though. I never tried it. But, look, there's some clients did great and some, they struggle a little bit with it in the past. And so what I decided was, I want to not only help people who just want to learn how to do low carb, because there are some people that they really enjoy low carb and they can do low carb and that's fine. And there needs to be somebody there to teach them that, right? But I wanted to be able to help anyone who's been struggling, regardless if they want to do low carb or not low carb. And what's the strategy for that? And what was low carb missing that I was teaching that I can improve upon, okay? The diet works, don't get me wrong, but how can I improve upon what we were already doing so that it could last forever for somebody? And a big part of that came down to like behaviors and mindset and stuff. So I now have 3 basics. Look, I just like to go back to the basics, okay? My program is called Back to Basics Weight Loss because I like to keep losing weight really simple. I like to keep it simple. What's the few things that we need to work on and do that's going to push the needle the most? And that's going to keep us there. What are those few things? Because I'm sure if you're like anyone else that I know who's trying to lose weight, you've already gone onto Google, you've already gone onto YouTube, and you've done all the searches and you watch the videos, and there's a million, zillion, billion different ways to lose weight and tips to lose weight, right? Fasting, mindful eating, keto, or just low carb but not keto. There's the paleo diet, there's blue zone diets, there's any number of diets, counting calories, exercise. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? But what's the few things that are in common with all of those, and for the people who end up breaking through, because most people who go on a diet end up regaining all their weight back, but there's a few who don't. There are some who don't. And what are those people doing differently? So I break it down into just the easy, like, I don't want to say easy. I want to break it down into the simple steps to follow. Like, what do we need to work on? Okay. So the first one, okay, there's 3. There's 3 basics that I kind of focus my attention on to help people lose weight and to keep it off. And the first one is the obvious one, which is the thing that's staring you in the face: food. How do we deal with the food? Okay. We want to go from someone who is an overeater of food to someone who eats a normal amount of food. Agreed? Like, let's just take all diet stuff out the window for a moment and let's just agree to something here. If you learned how to eat a normal amount of food for somebody who has kind of about the weight that you're wanting to have, do you think that you could lose weight? My bet is that yes, your answer is yes. If you could learn how to eat a little bit less, right? So let's talk about that. Food. What do I mean by food? Now, when I say we need to first focus on your food, a lot of people will automatically go to what the diet industry has been ingraining in our head, which is you got to take all the bad food out of your diet. You got to take all these, okay, you got to take out all the processed foods, okay? Anything that has like an ingredient list: cookies, cakes, ice cream, chips, tortillas, right? Bread, crackers, all these things, you have to take them out of your diet. And then you would just eat, you'd focus on like whole foods. For some people, vegan, some people vegetarian, some people carnivore, some people omnivore. You eat plants and you eat meat, like I do. That's what I do. Well, the problem with that, okay, is that it's really freaking hard. Let me ask you, have you been eating that way for your entire life? Probably not. You probably have gone to, if you were like me, you would go to fast food a couple days a week at least. You'd have pasta, especially if you're in an Italian family like me. You'd have pasta all the time. You get used to having a dessert. You go to Dairy Queen. I like the chocolate malts. That's what I would always get at Dairy Queen. There's the blizzards, but I really like the malts. But the problem is that these, when I say food, the diet industry has us like just ingrained in our head that these foods are all bad and you should not have them. And I want to tell you right now, okay, let's get out of bad and good food, all right? Let's get out of bad and good food mentality. Let's think of it more like this. Let's think of it more like there's healthy food and there's less healthy food, okay? There's healthy food and then there's less healthy food. So you can think of it like that. Because when we're talking about losing weight, you can eat processed foods. You can eat bread. You can eat pasta. And you can still lose weight. That is possible. People do it all the time. I eat bread. I eat Ezekiel bread personally. And I have some form of dessert most nights. Usually it's like a yogurt or it's something that my wife has made because she does a little bit of baking. And we use like a sugar substitute. Typically we don't put in lots of sugar into our stuff, but we just do it a little bit differently. And some dark chocolate in there and stuff. But I still have those things and I'm not overweight. And you could make the argument, okay, well, John, you've been doing this a while. You go to the gym a few days a week and all that. Well, I wasn't going to the gym a few days a week when I lost the weight. And after I started doing this stuff. And yes, I'm a man, and men typically lose weight a little easier than women. But my wife is a woman, and she's not overweight, and she eats like I do. Okay, so anyways, when I talk about food, so I'm not talking about the diet industry way of thinking. I'm talking about how do we keep you in the closest part of your comfort zone that we can. Okay, take all the things that you're eating right now, all of it, all the things that you're eating. And how can we start focusing on some habits that are going to start progressing us to eating a little bit less of it, to not having so much? What are some ways that I can teach you on how to control the amount of food that you're eating? All right, so that's the first thing that I teach in Back to Basics Weight Loss, is I teach you how to kind of control the amount of food that you're eating to the point where at some point it all starts to feel a little bit normal to have the little bit less. And then as that happens and you get control of that, control being that you're comfortable with doing what you're doing, here's the beautiful thing. We start looking at the what is next thing. Like, okay, I think I figured out how to control a little bit better how I'm eating and stuff. Like what's the next thing that I could do? What's something else? Maybe instead of, when I go to McDonald's and I get the burger, fries, and a soda, maybe I get a little bit smaller hamburger. Or maybe instead of French fries, I get a salad or something. Or instead of the soda, I'm getting some iced tea. These little things. All these little things start making difference. Maybe instead of having all the sauces, maybe I'm good with just, mustard. Okay? We start little bits. We start building to improve upon, and to improve upon with our food. All right? So that's the first kind of pillar of weight loss that I start out on, because it's the thing that just starts you losing the weight right now. Now that's the short-term kind of thing. I mean, no, it is long-term, but I mean short-term, like you can start working on now and you can start seeing results very, very quickly. The next pillar, pillar number 2, is the long game. And it's the thing that's going to let you stay on track. And that is, you need to create new thoughts. This is why, likely, your past dieting has failed you. Your past dieting has failed you because it hasn't addressed who you are as a person, what you think, the thoughts you put behind that, the meaning you put, hit the microphone there. The meaning you put behind the thoughts that you have. And when you can learn how to do that, you can start becoming not only a normal eater, but you can start thinking like a normal eater as well. And that is going to allow you to stop the whole freaking self-sabotage thing. All right. So there's a saying that for when you do your actions in the world, okay, there's the 3D world and then there's in the internal world, right? And it all starts, do you think it all starts in, let me ask you this question. Do you think that everything starts in the exterior world, or do you think that really it all starts kind of in the mental world, on the inside? It really starts on the inside. Yes, there are external things that happen in the world. You walk into a buffet and there's all the food, right? But what you place on that, the meaning that you put behind it, is going to determine what you end up doing. All right? So when I say when it starts, what I mean is in regards to your weight loss journey and how you proceed. Okay? What's the next thing you're going to do? How does it all start? How do you start gaining weight? Well, likely you're thinking certain thoughts, and those thoughts create a feeling and an emotion. And whatever meaning you put behind those thoughts, okay, whatever meaning you put behind the thoughts, and I'll give you an example here in a moment. You create those feelings, and those feelings then drive you to take action, to do something. So the simple part of it is whatever you think, you feel, and whatever you feel, you do. All right? So let me give not a weight loss example, and then we'll kind of bring it back into the context of losing weight. So let's just imagine for a moment that myself and my wife, Lindsay, we're walking on a sidewalk, okay? We're just walking, and somebody comes running behind us, and they bump into our shoulder, and they just go running as fast as they can. They kind of hit us both hard in our shoulders. Hits me in my right shoulder, my wife in her left shoulder, and they run right through us as fast as they can. Now, I might have a thought on that when that person hit us in the shoulder. I might think like, dude, what a jerk, man. You just come running through and you bump into us. You don't even say, excuse me. So my thought was, I got bumped in the shoulder. That guy is an a-hole. And then I get a feeling, and my feeling from that thought, the feeling I might have is one of a bit anger. Like I'm upset. He hit me and it kind of hurt. And then because I have that feeling, I take an action and maybe I flip the person off. Okay? Now, that same circumstance happens to my wife. But she has a different thought. Now, her thought was, wow, that guy's in a big hurry. I saw a car turn the corner up there. Maybe somebody kidnapped his kid and he's running after his kid. And he's trying to get the license plate number. So she has that thought. And then she has a feeling based on that thought, right? And that feeling might be one of compassion. And when she has that compassionate feeling, then her action might be to go run and help the person, right? Same scenario happens. Two different ways of understanding what just happened. Two different thoughts, two different feelings, two different actions. Now, when we bring that back into losing weight for a moment, that can happen in so many ways. Sometimes we are driven to eat because we are, pick one, I don't care. Frustrated, angry, bored, irritated, you name it, right? And why are we angry? Why are we angry? Well, we might be angry because this or this happened. Well, is this thing that happened really the way that we understood it to happen and therefore made us angry? Should we really be angry about the situation, first of all? And this is where your thinking needs to come into play, because if you are thinking thoughts of, I'm not good enough, if you're thinking of thoughts that this isn't working for me, if you're thinking thoughts that this is too hard, you're thinking thoughts that it's just my genetics, or thoughts of every time I try, I always fail. I can never do it right. Do you really think with that mindset that you're going to keep losing weight and keep it off forever? If that's the mindset that you have, I don't think so. Right? What millionaire, someone who had no money and made something of themselves, and they made $5 million by doing whatever it is they're doing, building a product and selling it on Amazon or something. Put my phone here on Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that. Let's see where the Do Not Disturb is. Just put on airplane mode. What person who brought themselves up from being no money to having $5 million in a bank by building a business, selling something on Amazon, whatever it is, and they went through it the entire time telling themselves how much they suck, how much they don't know how to make money, how they are unorganized, how it's just not possible for them. Do you really think that person would become a millionaire with that mindset? This is the same for weight loss. I can teach you the food part, but if you do not work on your thoughts and you keep the negative Nancy thoughts circling around in your head and you don't try to figure out how to deal with them in the right way, it's not going to work. You're just going to go back to your old habits. We literally have to start becoming a different person on the inside. And you don't have to do it all perfect all at once. All we need to do is start getting started. We need to start thinking in different ways. We need to start noticing when we are doing actions that we're not wanting to do, or when we're thinking actions that we're not wanting to do, and we need to take a little time to analyze it and reflect on what's going on. And we need to start questioning this damn self-talk that we keep doing, where we talk to ourselves like our own worst enemy. It was a good song, by the way, My Own Worst Enemy by Lit. All right? And once you have that awareness, first of all, I want you to understand it's normal to be thinking in ways that this is all too hard, I can't figure it out, it's difficult, I'm not good enough, and all that. Okay, that's a normal thought process. It's a normal thought process because really this is what's happening. Okay, your freaking brain is trying to trick you. Your brain wants to keep you alive, and it also wants to just conserve as many calories as it can, just in case some dangerous thing happens. You have the energy to hop a wall, run down the street, go hide, whatever it is. It wants your number one priority of your brain is to keep you alive and safe. And it needs to conserve calories for that. That is why we have habits. That's why it turns things into habits. So that you no longer need to burn the calories to think about how to brush your teeth or drive a car, turn on a computer. It's all on an automatic thing. You don't even need to think about it anymore. And now all of a sudden, you're challenging this brain. You're challenging this brain by saying, I no longer want to eat these foods. And now I want to eat these foods. That's a big one, right? Now, we're trying to stay as close to our comfort zone as possible. So maybe you're saying, I no longer want to do as much of this. I want to do a little bit more of this. I want to make this little change here. And your brain is going to drive up all kinds of thoughts. It's going to fight you on it because you are trying to change. Just like if you were trying to change your entire morning routine. Just imagine for a moment you wake up in the morning and now instead of brushing your teeth with your right hand, you're going to brush your teeth with your left hand. Instead of brushing your teeth first, you're going to go get dressed first. Instead of whatever it is, getting dressed and doing your makeup, you're going to do your makeup and then you're going to get dressed. It's all going to be more difficult, and your brain is going to work really hard at just getting you back to the way that you were doing it before. And the way you combat that is by doing a little freaking work on yourself, grabbing a journal and start writing things and analyzing what the heck it is that you're doing. And over time, your brain will start working in that direction. In other words, it's like, okay, she's not listening to me. I'm throwing all the negative stuff out there to scare her back into her comfort zone, but she's not listening. She caves a couple times, but then she's right back and she's making me having to do this. I might as well turn it into a new habit. And once you turn that into a new habit, losing weight gets a lot easier and it's long term. All right? Is this making sense? The past diets that you have done has not done this for you. All that it's been doing for you is telling you what foods you can eat, what foods you can't eat, when you can eat, and when you can't eat. And it's telling you these foods are bad and these foods are good. These foods cause inflammation and all kinds of things, and these foods are the nutrient-dense and healthy foods. Yes, there's unhealthy and there's healthy, but let's just freaking lose the weight first, and then we can talk about improving on the healthy food. Okay, let's get some of the basics of losing weight down, and then we can improve on things if we so choose, right? Okay, so I hope this is making sense to you. So there's a third pillar, okay? We have 3 pillars that I work on in Back to Basics Weight Loss. Again, to keep this, look, let's not make losing weight any harder than it has to be, all right? We focus on the food that you're eating and controlling about how much that you're eating. What are the ways to do that? We're talking about how you need to create new thoughts and new patterns so you create new habits so that losing weight becomes easy in the long term and maintainable. The third pillar is your behaviors are your behaviors. All right? Behaviors. And when I say behaviors, it's kind of like a lot of some of the weight loss tips that you might see out there. All right? Are you eating more protein, for example? That's going to help. Are you mindlessly eating on the couch, watching Netflix? Or are you going over to the table and sitting down and paying attention to the food that you're eating. All right. Behaviors when you go to, like, let's say a party, or you go out to dinner, when you've had the worst day at work, what's the behaviors then? What are you going to do when you come home and you just fought traffic, your kids are all whining, and your wife or husband is in a pissy mood because of the kids, and you got to cook dinner? What kind of behaviors are you going to exhibit at that point? And what behaviors are you going to do if you like having, let's say, ice cream at night? Now, this could be a little bit of the food portion as well. But what's the behaviors that you do when, you want to get the ice cream? You want to eventually weed out having ice cream or cookies or cake or something after dinner. How can you manage that? How do you manage that if you eat the whole bag of chips, how can we manage not eating the whole bag of chips? What behaviors can you do for that? All right, there's a lot of behaviors that we can start working on. And those behaviors are meant to, when it comes down to it, it's meant to put more control back into what you're doing. Because a lot of us, with our behaviors, we're just not even thinking about it. We're just doing these things. We're just unaware, and we're just kind of, oh my goodness. And then all of a sudden you stop and you're like, what the hell did I just do? So we need to start being a little more mindful of things, new behaviors on eating. One of them might be, okay, I'll give you one right now. Let's say it's chips, okay? Because freaking chips they're so good, right? There's all kinds of different chips. And did you know, like, in a bag of potato chips, there's there's a couple articles on it. You can look them up online. It's been a while since I looked them up online, but like one bag of, I think it was Lay's potato chips, like the plain potato chips, was equal to, like, one normal big bag, not a little small bag, but like a normal size, big kind of bag that you buy at a grocery store, was something like 5 or 6 potatoes it took to make all those chips. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that you could eat 5 or 6 potatoes in one sitting? Just sit down in front of the TV watching Netflix and just gorge down on 5 or 6 potatoes? Not me. Not me. But give me that bag of potato chips and some onion dip, and I could down the entire bag. Even now, when I've lost my weight and I'm not, my hunger isn't as high as it used to be, you give me a bag of chips with that onion dip and I can down the entire bag. So one behavior might be, guess what? We're not taking any food out of our diet, okay? I don't put people on diets anymore. You can have whatever you want. That's fine. We just learn how to deal with it, how to eat the right amount. And one behavior might be, I can have chips, but guess what? I'm not going to keep them in the house. If I want chips, if it's that bad that I want chips, I'm going to have to get dressed, go get my keys, get in the car, drive up to the store, spend money to buy a bag of chips, and then come home, and then I can have my chips. And I don't know, sometimes I'll just be too lazy on that. You know what I'll do then? I'll be, oh, what else do I have? Okay, I like almonds, so I'll just eat some almonds then. Or frozen grapes. I like frozen grapes. All right, I'll just eat some frozen grapes instead. All right, so that's a behavior that you could do. Another behavior might be with the chips. If you agree to yourself that instead of grabbing a bag and eating from the bag, you have to put the chips on a plate, on a small plate. And that's all the chips that you have, and you're not allowed to go back to have more. You make You make a deal with yourself that you can only have that amount of chips on that small plate, and you don't go back for more. Okay, and then this is where the thinking part comes in, right? Because when you're sitting there eating, you're probably going to come to a point where you're like, nah, I just want a little bit more chips. Maybe I'll have just a little bit more. I'll go back and I'll do a second plate or something, right? No, you got to think about that. That's the thinking part. That's pillar number 2. These all play together in unison. Okay? So pillar number 1 that I teach in Back to Basics Weight Loss is how to start controlling your food a little bit better. You can eat whatever you want. You're not going on a diet. And we'll improve it over time, okay? Slow and steady wins the race. You don't want to go on a crash diet. You go on a crash diet, that just leads to rebounding and overeating again and regaining weight. And if you've listened to one of my other episodes here on the podcast, I talked about why you don't want to lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. And the more you do that, going back and forth, the more that you do that, the harder it is to lose the weight the next time. And if you're not sure why that is, go back and listen to that or watch it on YouTube, and I'll explain why. So pillar number 1 is we need to start focusing on the food that you're eating and getting a little better control of that. Pillar number 2 is we need to create a new thought process and becoming more aware of what you're doing so that we can start changing our thinking, so that we can start creating new habits. And once new habits set in, all of this gets way, way easier. And then the third pillar is how you're behaving. And in that third pillar, I add in, of course I'm going to add in little hacks and tips and stuff. There's always the little hacks and tips to help you lose weight. It helps you to just kind of make it a little easier on yourself. So it's not necessarily maybe a behavior or a new thought process or something. Maybe you could fit some of it into food, some of it you don't. Like water, for example. Water is a weight loss hack. It's not really food. It's not really your thoughts. It's not really your behaviors. Though you could say behaviors, drink more water, right? But there's certain tools and tips and hacks that I like to give people that are easy ones. And some of them can be optional. Some of them not. Sleep and water are not optional. You have to do it. And so I include those as well. Okay. All right. So if you would like to learn more about this, if you would like to actually have me teach you these things in a way that is going to work for you, okay, where you're going to start thinking about these thoughts that you're having, you're going to start really paying attention to the food that you're eating and the behaviors that you're doing. If you would like me to show you how to do that, here's what I would like you to do, okay? My program, Back to Basics, is not open all the time, 24/7 for anyone to come in 365 days a year. It's not like that. I open up doors for a short period. I bring in a small group of students, and then I close doors. And I do that because I really want to make sure that I'm focusing on helping people get transformations and really devoting as much time as I can to helping them make breakthroughs and making this a real win for themselves. And it's kind of hard to do that when every day I would have a new person coming in. Every day a new person come in. And so I open up the doors for a short period. And if you want to be notified when those doors open, because I only allow a certain number of people to come in, depending on the workload that I have going on and everything. And I email that out to the wait list first. Anyone who's on my email wait list, they get first crack at it. And if all the spots fill up before I even promote it out on social media, then they all fill up and I don't promote it on social media. Okay? But if they don't fill up, I put it out on social media and then, thousands of people can see it and then people will start coming in. So if you would like first dibs at getting into my program, to learn how to do these 3 pillars and apply them in your life so you can never have to go on a diet again, and you can finally get this weight loss stuff figured out and just move on with your life. If that is what you would like to do, this is what I'd like you to do right now. Go to losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist. All right? losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist. And put your name and your email in the form that's on there and get on my wait list. And I will make sure you're the first one notified. You'll get all the information. What's going to be included? How long is it going to be? How many live calls will we do? Because we do live calls on Zoom, coaching calls and everything. What's included? How much is it going to be? And all those things. Okay. And look, if you're concerned that, well, it's a weight loss program, spending more money, I don't want to spend more money or anything, just remember, we're spending the money anyways, okay? Whether that be through medication because of weight, whether that be the amount of food that we have to buy to maintain what we're doing, either way, that money is getting spent. Either way, the time is being used up. If you say you don't have time right now, that time will pass no matter what. So you might as well get on the wagon to start building instead of just waiting for that perfect time. Because I'll be honest with you, if you're like me, there is no perfect time. I'll wait until after the holidays. I'll wait until after, this birthday thing. I'll wait until after this bill is paid off. There's always the next thing. And the reason why I'm saying these things is that our brain wants to keep us in fear. It wants to keep us where we are right now. It's afraid of change. And when you make a commitment to change, your brain doesn't like that. And it conjures up all those things. Just like I said before, when you're trying to change the food that you're eating, when you're trying to change your diet, food diet, you're trying to get healthy, your brain fights you to keep you in the same spot that you've been stuck in this entire time. And if whatever is coming up for you, well, I don't want to put out my email right now, or, well, I don't really have the money, or I don't really have the time, whatever it is, that is your brain tricking you. Because I can tell you right now, if it's the money problem, I have a couple options to work with me. People who want to work more on a one-on-one basis, there's that, and then there's the one where we're in a group setting kind of thing. And if you have a house or rent, if you have a car, if you go out to eat, if you go to the movies, if you get Starbucks, if you have a job, if you have all that stuff, you have the money. It's just your mind finding a way for you to get out of it. Don't listen to it. You know what you want. You are in control. And I'm going to tell you a little secret here, okay? But I got to have a drink of water first. But I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Okay, the secret is that, how I said there's the think, feel, do cycle. Whatever you think, you feel. Whatever you feel, you end up doing. Now, the thinking is where it starts, right? The thinking is where it starts. Most people that I know, they don't think about it this deep, but it's the way that it is. You are not your thoughts. Now, your thoughts drive pretty much everything, okay? They're the one, your thoughts, if there's a bus driver, okay, your thoughts are the one that's telling the bus driver where to go. But you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. Think about it for a moment. You can direct where your thoughts go. Now, most of the time, it's just on autopilot. And, I see my water bottle. I just get an automatic thought about my water bottle. It's cool, refreshing, it's gray, whatever the thought might be. But I can sit here and now I can direct my thoughts well, what is that bottle made out of? What do I think the temperature might be inside of? I can force the thoughts. Now it takes calories in the brain to work, to think. This is why we don't like doing homework because it takes calories, it takes, energy, and our brain wants us to not have to use energy to improve ourselves. But you are the thinker of your thoughts, okay? So whatever your thoughts are immediately, you can always pause, back it up for a moment, and your higher self, the one who's directing your attention, you can change your attention at any time. You're the thinker of your thoughts. And when you understand that concept, you literally can change your life. And I know I said it here in just a few minutes, how you're a thinker of your thoughts, and you'll probably listen to this podcast and then move on with your day. But I'm giving you one of the secrets of the universe here is that you have power over yourself. You have power over yourself. There is a cruise control that we all have, but you have the power to take yourself off the cruise control and make a decision for yourself. If you think that you can learn something from me, if you think that I might be able to get you to the weight that you want to get to start questioning some of these things that are coming up for yourself, head over to losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist, and I'll be there waiting, and I'll make sure that you're notified when I'm accepting a new student, okay? And you might be that next one, and we can finally get this crap figured out for you, all right? Okay, so with that, I hope you have a pleasant day or evening or weekend or wherever you are. Have a good one, all right? I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you in the next episode. Don't forget to send me a DM on Instagram, any of your questions. I like to answer questions on Reels, on YouTube. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and on YouTube, and send me a DM. Let me know what you thought about this episode. I'm curious, and any questions that you might have. All right, I'll see you next time.